Hi friends, it's Tuesdays with Tonya. I'm Tonya here with My Kind of Link, and today I've got me a co-host. She is back by popular demand. My sweet mother, Marie Shalecti, is with me. We are talking about today, it is the anniversary week of the blizzard of 78. So, can you believe that? So, it is the week of the blizzard of 1978. So, I've got some statistics I'm going to talk to you about, but then we're going to talk about what we experienced it and get some information from Mother as well. So, it is often cited as one of the most severe blizzards in U.S. history for Ohio.
It was a mess.
It was a mess, wasn't it? And so they had about 13 inches, but with the wind and stuff, the drifts were like 20 feet. There was 51 people that lost their lives in Ohio from the storm, and there was over $100 million in damages. So I read some things. It had rained and kind of turned, and it kind of, the rain started coming, and then the cold temperatures, because the temperatures dropped so fast that it plunged to it plunged 21 degrees down very quickly. So it went down to 0 in no time. And then they said with the wind chill, it was like 60 below. Do you remember that? Being like 60 below.
It was cold.
Yes, so it was super, super cold. And so they talked about on the internet, I did a little bit of research and some different things, and one of the places said that it was created because there was this extra tropical cyclone that came out of South Carolina. So with the Arctic cold front, the conditions worsened. So it made the storm develop a lot quicker and a lot faster than people even knew about. So it was really quite dramatic. So as people went to bed that night, they were just said there could be some snow in the morning, a little bit of wind, and for people that went to bed, I'll say maybe after 9 p.m., I think is what they had said, they woke up to something very different than even what the newscasters had, for the weather forecasters, meteorologists had thought was going to happen. So let's talk about that. So while we get to talking about this, I want you in the comments to say, where were you in the blizzard of 1978? What if you have a little story you want to share in the comments about that? Tell us about it, because I think it's interesting what we all went through, and it was just kind of interesting to kind of reminisce about that. So Mom, I remember when the blizzard hit, I got shipped off to my cousins, the Murphys. They came over and picked me up on a snowmobile. I always say that wrong, a snowmobile. And I had never been on a snowmobile. So I was kind of excited about that because I'm a little bit of a thrill seeker. But we didn't even have to like go around the fields. We just went right over there was no fence lines, right?
Right.
And then why did I go? Because it was just so cold?
Well, we didn't have any heat. We were out without heat, but I didn't dare go because I had a horse to take care of and keep things going. But I sent you out to be warm.
Yeah, I was warm. I was with the Murphys. So I remember going over there. I was a little apprehensive though, because I couldn't understand why you weren't coming with me, because I was all of 6 years old. So you kind of had to send me with a little bit of clothing, because we couldn't carry much on the snowmobile.
No.
So I didn't have much clothing. I ended up having to wear my cousin Chris's some of his clothing. That was kind of embarrassing for our little girl, but it all worked out well. They're lovely people. I always enjoyed spending time with my cousins. So where was Cheryl and Kevin then? Did they go to other homes as well, or were they stay with you? Do you remember?
I sort of think that Cheryl was down at the neighbors, and Kevin was with the group at Woodington.
Okay, so everybody was sort of just kind of helping where they could and what they could do. Now, my dad was a truck driver, so was Dad home during the blizzard?
No.
So do you remember where he was?
I don't remember where he was, but he wasn't home.
So you did that all by yourself?
Right.
Yeah, so I'm sure I'm sure Cheryl and Kevin probably helped you where they could help, and then they went. So you were there by yourself, though, where it was really super cold.
Right.
Oh, my goodness. So the horses and stuff that were outside.
And the dogs.
And the dogs. Did you bring the dogs in?
No.
What did you do? They had like their own houses and stuff.
They had their own houses out there.
Okay.
They were Kevin's dogs. They had their own house.
So they were always secure in the barn and stuff. They were all heated that way as far as the best that we could with them during the middle of a blizzard. So how did you do that by yourself? Like, how did you stay warm?
I sort of think I fixed a fire in the fireplace. No, didn't have the fireplace.
Oh, you would have had the fireplace then.
Yes, I did have the fireplace. So I pulled the furniture up around the fireplace and fixed a fire in it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So how did you cook? Did you just cook over the fireplace? Do you remember?
I evidently did. I don't remember.
And then, do you remember how many days it was that we were? Because we didn't have any power or we had nothing, right? No water, no.
I really can't tell you. I don't remember the amount of days. I just know it was nasty.
Okay, so you were snuggled by the fire. The dogs were snuggled up with the straw and everything. Everybody was inside doing the best they could. So tell me though, back in your day, like when you were growing up, because Mother's the big 9-0 now. Look at her go. Isn't she cute as a button? So back in your day, what did you guys do when it was cold? Because your winters, you've always said, I've always been much harsher than the winters that we experience now.
What did we do when it was cold?
Yeah.
We had wood fire stoves, and we bundled up, and we went to the barn, done our milking, our feeding, and the chickens. We took care of all our animals. We had a lot of animals to do, and you just waded through the snow and went up over the top and got it done.
So I remember you saying, though, didn't you used to warm up bricks or something for your...
Well, we might have. Yeah, I think we did. I think Mother did bring some bricks in, or had some bricks, and we'd rolled them in towels and warmed them up.
And then you took them up, like, to your room?
To bed, yes.
And put them underneath your blankets, or how did you do that?
Right. You just put them down towards your feet.
Now, do you have any other tips or tricks that you guys used to do back in the day that was, like if you lost electricity or anything that you could stay warm with, or ideas that y'all came up with?
We had coal oil lanterns that we always had sitting by that we could light. And you could use those if your electricity was off for a while.
Yeah, because nowadays it doesn't take long till the snow plows and everything come through. But back in the blizzard, the plows had to go ahead of the rescue people if they had to get somewhere because they couldn't get down the roads.
Right,
everything was shut off. I don't remember by being only 6. I don't remember how many days that I ended up staying at the Murphys.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I know you were down there a couple days.
Oh, at least, because I remember I ran out of, I mean, not that they didn't wash my clothes for me, but I mean, I remember running out of what I had brought.
Right.
So I was there longer than I thought. So is there any other tips or tricks that you all used to do to stay warm in the wintertime? Anything special, like with keeping the water for the animals going? Or
I don't know we had that pump though that you could pump water, and then you could also, I think we had to pump our water all the time back then.
So how did you keep it from freezing though when it was super cold?
I don't really know, because I don't think that when you used a pump like that they froze up like the lines do now.
Oh, so it was a little different. Mm-hmm. Or did you have to pull it up by a little bucket? Did you have one of those kind of wells, or was it always a hand pump?
Hand pump. Okay. Hand pump.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. And so how long ago do you think the winters started getting a little more milder? Like, like you always say around here, we don't have the same winters that we used to have.
Oh my gosh, probably in 3 or 4 years after that, it probably kind of eased down. I don't know. It's been so long ago. And the winters were cold.
Yes. Well, and we've had some pretty cold weather here lately.
Right.
In Dark County too. We've had
But you haven't had this snow like we used to always have snow.
Yeah. And so imagine that when you think about that with the winds, 20 plus feet of snow. People were trying to figure out what to do with it, right?
And at some of the snows, at one time when I was working at Westinghouse, 3 of us girls, we got stranded out in the snow. We got the one girl, her dad came after us on the tractor and took us home.
Oh my goodness, that would have been bad.
That was cold.
Oh yeah,
it was cold. We spent the night with her, and then you kids were at different houses. The school bus, they dropped you off at different places, so none of us had our kids at home. And there we were, 3 of us with children, not for sure knowing where they were.
Yeah, that was before my time. That was with Kevin and Cheryl.
Right.
Yeah, that was before my time. The only thing I really remember was, like I said, I remember going to the Murphys, and then I remember like one snowy time, I don't know if it was the same time or not, because it was my elementary bus driver, Mrs. Miller. She was the best bus driver. She was so sweet. She'd let us sing songs and do different things. But I remember one time we had a really long lane that I walked down, and I had fallen into the snowdrift, and I'm sure she could see me, but I didn't think she could see me. So I started taking my pencils and my books, and I'm throwing them out of the hole because I didn't want her to miss it. I didn't want to miss the bus. I ran all the way down there to make the bus. I fell in a snowdrift, but anyways, I made the bus, and all was well. So thanks, Mother, for sharing what you remember and little tidbits about the cold and so forth. So a couple tips that I've read recently is to take a cup of water and freeze that water cup, and then put a penny or something on the top of it, and then put it back in the freezer. So if you ever do lose electricity, if that penny has, or coin, whatever you're using, has fallen down into it, then you know that your food's not good. It's defrosted. Pretty good idea.
Really?
Yeah. And then if it's still at the top, you know that it didn't defrost long enough to hurt anything. So
I didn't know that.
So that was a good little tip that I had.
Of course, back then we all had wood stoves, and your kitchen stoves was even just not electric. They were just all wood stoves, so we was able to keep heat going as long as you could keep the wood in.
And get the wood in.
Yeah.
I mean, when it's blowing like that and you've got 20-foot drifts.
Right.
And no one was prepared for it because, like I said, according to what I read, no one knew that was going to happen. Like, nobody knew that when you went to bed, it was just calling.
I think it was a shock.
Yeah, I don't think many people knew that it was happening. I think it said light rain and some wind and perhaps some snow overnight, but nothing like what had happened.
No.
So stay warm, everybody, and thanks for visiting me again on this Tuesdays with Tonya. Thanks, Mom, and we'll see you next time.